All right, welcome to the John and Tony Show. It's another Monday. Today, we're talking about predestination. Is your life predestined? Can you change it or can you not change it? It's going to be an interesting topic for today. Joining me, as always, live from Indianapolis, my good friend John. John, how you doing, bud?
In Indianapolis again as usual. You know, we had a ice storm on Wednesday, and this is a couple of days later, and it's actually 60 degrees, so only in Indiana, you know what I mean?
Oh, no.
I mean, you get that kind of weather.
Gotta love that. Gotta love the good
Gotta
weather.
love it. Gotta love it.
Gotta love the weather. Hey, guys, we got predestination here for you today. This is an interesting one. I'm gonna shoot all kinds of stuff over to you kids. And we got, don't mind the dog. The dog's scruffing up something. They like to do this stuff anyway. As always, I'm your host, Tony Scott. Anyway, predestination, guys. Is it real? Is it not real? Do you guys believe it? Or do you guys not believe it? I don't know. Well, I'm going to give you the definition. Here we go. Definition, predestination, the divine forwarding of all that. I can hardly see that. Will happen, especially with regard to salvation of some and not others. It is particularly associated with the teachings of St. Augustine of Hippo and of Calvin. Now that Calvin would be John Calvin, actually. And St. Augustine of Hippo, I did a little minor research on that. He 400 A.D. Oh my Lord, that's a long time. His teaching. He was actually born in he died in 480. Yeah, so it's somewhere around 400 AD. He probably would have been doing some teaching. I think he passed on at like 450 or 460 AD. Not quite sure, but it does date back quite a long time. So as far as predestination, as far as what I would think, I don't know. I'm pretty sure you could probably change your life. I mean, you get up, you go to work, you come home, you go to bed, you get up. Could you change that routine? Could you say, I go to work and I take a certain path every single day. Every single day I take the same path. So then maybe a couple weeks later, you decide to take another way to work. Is that predestined for you to do that? Did you make that change, or did, say, God make that change for you? And we're going to switch over to John, and John's got some interesting things about predestination, and we're going to give him time to talk about those things. John?
All right, Tony. Yeah, I love to talk about it. Excuse me, I got a little bit of that cough.
No problem.
Yeah, the flu thing's been going around all over the place. But anyway, so I'll try not to cough on you too much. Yeah, the predestination, man. I tell you what, it's a subject that I've talked about with some of my some of my family members, close friends, and whatnot. And to be honest with you, we've had some heated discussions about it because I got my own theories on it. Of course, it's only my theory, of course. But it starts off a long time ago. I did a meditation, and when I did a meditation, I had a lot of thoughts and a lot of messages come through. Not to be sounding weird, but anyway, I got to be thinking about everything and about your life. Is it from the time that we're born to the time that we die? Is everything already set up for us? Or do we really have control of it? Or does God, or the Creator, which I personally believe in God, does God control it all for you, or the Creator control it all for you? In other words, like a big computer mainframe that controls everything that's in existence, anything that's living. I got to really thinking about that, and I'm like, is my life really controlled by me, or is my life controlled by, like I said, God? Is everything set up for me? When the time I'm born to the time I go. I got to really thinking about that, and I was thinking deep about it. And the more I thought about it, the more I believe it's true. and people will argue with me and say, no, there's no way, John, you can change your life and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, yeah, you can change to a point, but are you really changing it? Are you really changing it? Or is it God changing it for you? So in other words, like, say, um, I'm a drug addict, really. Okay, I'm not really, but say I was a drug addict, and one day I had an awakening. Say you need to quit, doing drugs. So I did. Well, was that really my decision, or was the thought put into my brain by God? Was it already set up for me to do that? Or if I decide a career move I want to make, okay, when I'm a kid, I grew up, okay, I wanted to be a rock star. All right. Could have been one. Actually, I'm a musician as well as Tony. We were actually musicians together a long time ago. And we were good enough to be rock stars, not to be sound arrogant or nothing, but we really were good enough to be rock stars and to be really famous and successful at it. We did not become famous rock stars. Was there a reason for that? I believe there was, and the reason why is because I feel like God has a purpose for me to be doing what I'm doing today and not to be the rock star. In other words, I wanted to be the rock star. I did everything I should have did or thought I should have done to become the rock star, but I didn't become the rock star. And because I didn't really have control of that. That's just kind of scratching the surface. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Tony. I mean, I could talk longer about it.
Oh, I know. That's one thing about predestination. A lot of people argue about it because they say, oh, well, I have the ability to change what I do. I get up on the left side of the bed every day. So when I wake up, okay, I got up on the left yesterday. So, okay, I'm going to get up on the right side because on the left side, I have this ache, so I figure I'm going to get up on the right side when I get up. So, but you made that decision. And then lo and behold, when you get up on the right side, you don't have any pain. So was that God saying, because it has to come from something higher. So was that God saying, okay, get up on the right side because you're going to have no pain. So then you get up on the right side, you have no pain, but you made that decision. So I think a lot of people argue to the point there's what they say, well, I have control over it, over what I do in my life. Nobody else has control because they're stuck with that. Because they say, I can go to the grocery store and I can choose to buy bread, milk, dairy, whatever you want to buy at the store. And then the next day I can choose to buy something else. I can choose to buy whatever you guys are buying at the store. You're making those choices. So it's kind of funny to even when I talk about the one thing I thought about the other day on predestination was if you go to work every day and you take the same, like I was saying earlier, taking the same route, and then a couple weeks later you're taking that same route, but you get bogged down in traffic, and then being the fidgety person that you would be, not to say anybody's fidgety, but you're just like very impatient. So you bang on the horn. You don't want to be in the traffic. You're banging on the horn and you're trying to get over so you can get off and take another route. And then lo and behold, you get off and you get hit by a meteor. What is that? What is that all about?
Exactly. Yeah.
Then you're dead, right? And then we all want to go to that better place, and you're going, man, if I just wouldn't have made that decision, I could have went to, well, wait a minute, this kind of looks like this is much better. So was that, I mean, you made the decision to get off to go somewhere else, but in the predestined word, that has to come from something higher. It's like somebody, like He's controlling everybody in the world, and he's making everything happen. It's his game. He makes it
exactly
happen.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So
exactly.
That's interesting.
Yeah, exactly, Tony. Yeah,
it is interesting for sure.
And we can go. I can go through more examples of it. We're just scratching the surface, folks, of this discussion. It's real deep. If you really think about it, you can really think about it for like hours. Wow, you know what I mean? Okay, you look at it this way. when you're born, you're made up of who you are. You have no choices with that. You're born with the eye color, the hair color, the skin color, whatever, the race you are, the sex you are, whatever. You're born with that. Okay, that's kind of the predestination thing in itself, right there. Everybody is born the way they're born. You really didn't have any control of who you are, right? Okay, here's what. Hang with me because I'm going places with this. Okay, so I'm born. I grow up. I have my life. My parents are who they are. I didn't choose my parents. My parents were chosen for me. Think about it. Parents are chosen for you. Or whether they're biological or the adopted or whatever, it doesn't matter. Your parents are chosen for you. You don't choose your parents. Okay, and you keep growing. You're growing into a teenager. You choose the things that you want to do, and like for example, when I was a teenager, man, I wanted a Mustang. I didn't want a 1974 Torino, but I had the 1974 Torino. But that wasn't the car I was meant to have. Okay, that's just a slight example. Then you keep on growing, and you may get married, have kids, whatever. For example, you may grow up and decide, okay, I want to get married. I want to have kids, right? And some people can't, no matter how hard they try. You know what I'm saying? Have kids. They can't have kids. Some people, may not want kids and they end up having kids. So my point is, it's not your decision on that, really, entirely. It's already set up for you. Okay, I was meant to grow up with the folks that I have. I was meant to grow up and be a musician. I was meant to get a taste of a little success at it, but not entirely successful at it. I was meant to do the job that I'm doing now. I was even speed up. I was even meant to do this podcast with my dear friend Tony, that I've known since second grade. And I'll get to another point too when it comes to the relationship aspect of predestination. So then, as I grow up, the people that I meet, the people that I have close connections with, they stick. Here's a thought. Here's another thought of it. That's why I think everything's pre-planned. When you're out doing your daily things, like Tony was talking about driving on the highway and stuff like that. I mean, just your daily routine. You get up in the morning, you bump into people, especially if you live in a big city, you're bumping into literally hundreds of people a day. If you live in New York City and you're walking around and hitting the subways, you're seeing hundreds of people a day, right? But you're not necessarily close friends with those hundreds of people. You've met them, but you're not really friends with them. But why is it that there's certain people that you become friends with and you hang on and you're close friends with them forever and ever? And why is it just them? In other words, I'm friends with Tony Scott. What made me be friends with him since second grade? Why couldn't I have been friends with Joe Smith? Because God set it up that way. I was meant to be friends with Tony Scott. That's just the way it is. So if you look at all these little examples, and like I said, we'll keep going on about it. That's why I believe everything is already pre-planned for you. And people will say, well, I don't think so because I really wanted to be this and I never was that. And that's because I didn't do certain things. Well, the reason why you didn't do certain things is because, why didn't you do certain things, right? Well, the reason why you might blame yourself on being lazy or I just didn't try hard enough or whatever. Well, you know what? If you really think about it deeply, it's because, yeah, you were lazy, maybe, whatever, but because you already pre-programmed to be lazy when it came to that, or else you wouldn't have been lazy. It was already pre-programmed. So, like I said, I'm building up to this the show, trying to make my point, but I'll go ahead and turn it back over to you, Tony.
Yeah,
share some more stuff.
Yeah, I've known John since, like I said, third grade, long time ago. And if we look at predestination, if you take your life now and you rewind the clock back, and if I were to rewind my clock back, believe it or not, I lived in Phoenix, Arizona as a kid. And my father, my natural father, was he was a musician, which I kind of take over the trait of being a guitar player. I get that talent from him. But my dad had a lot of he had a lot of girlfriends, and they would come around the house, according to what my mom would say. And whether she could put up with it or couldn't put up with it. It's irrelevant. But they got a divorce. And then we moved. I remember getting in a taxi, and we moved from Phoenix back to, actually, I don't even know if I lived in Indianapolis at the time, to my mom's mother's house, my grandmother's house. Now, if you look at that, if she didn't get that divorce and they stayed married, this entity right here where I live now in Las Vegas would not happen. It's gone. So was that predestination? It could be. I mean, it could be. There was the decisions that my mom made. She was predestined to make those. God goes, okay, here, Cindy, you're going to make this decision, this decision, this decision. It's all planned out for you. You're going over here. Tony's going to end up going to South Grove. Third grade, he meets John Allen. They grow up, through grade school, through high school, junior high at the time. And now there's no junior high. Through high school, and then everything's planned out. And next thing you know, here I sit. So if none of that would have taken place, I would not be here. So is my life, do I believe my life's predestined to be that? It could be. I mean, it definitely could be. I'm definitely not going to rule it out. And I know John's a firm believer on predestination. And like I said, John and I we're here. It's my point of view, for sure, and I know it's John's point of view. Whether we believe 100% on the predestination, I'm pretty. I don't know. I give it a good 80%. I mean, like I said, you can change yourself. I mean, you could go out the front door every day, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, okay, well, instead of going out the front door, tomorrow I'm going out the back door. Watch me just kill the predestination altogether. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, but then something I think was telling you God maybe say go out the back door for a reason. I think what it is with your predestined is everything is, of course, I believe everything, of course, is set up, and this is my belief too. Only, I mean, there might be some people that share the same belief.
Right.
Like I said, I got arguments with my, some of my close family members I love very dearly about it, and I had to shut down the discussion. But it's interesting discussion. So by the time, I believe that everything is controlled for you, even though you think you have control of your life. And you'll say, well, John, I do have control of my life because I do X, Y, and Z. But like I said, do you really, though? And I'll use this for example, like Tony was talking about, if his mom and dad had not got a divorce, we wouldn't be doing this right now because we never would have known each other.
That's true.
And the thing is, too, why are there certain people you keep contact with almost all your life and certain people you don't?
That's another good one.
And I think it goes to being the spiritual thing and in alignment with the Creator, in alignment with the Creator controlling every single soul that the Creator created. And I think that everybody has a soul, and I think the Creator is controlling the soul like a big computer program. What if we're just under this big computer program and we don't realize it? Everything we do every day and everything we think, oh, it's routine, or I control it, I pick this job, I pick that. What if you really didn't? I just want you guys to think about that. What if you really, everything that's happening in your life is already set up and you have no control of it? I think they made a movie about it, kind of The Matrix or something like that. Yeah. Something similar, but anyway, I'm not really going there. But I honestly believe certain things. The reason why it's control, pre-control. And I got into some discussions about it. I had a discussion actually with my father about it once. He was saying, well, yeah, this little girl's a shame. He was with her mom, and they were driving down the freeway, and some drunk guy hit and killed the little girl. He goes, boy, that was a shame that happened. It's too bad that happened. And it's a shame, and that wasn't meant to happen. He said, that should have never happened. And I said, well, Dad, I said, I don't want to argue with that or whatever. I said, I don't argue the fact that, yeah, that shouldn't happen. It's a shame the little girl got killed. It's a real bad shame. It's horrible. Okay?
No doubt.
All right. But I had to disagree with him when I said, yeah, that was meant to happen. He was like, no, that was not meant to happen. I said, yeah, it was meant to happen because otherwise it wouldn't happen. It was meant to happen. And he's trying to say, you mean God was the one that did that? I said, yeah, you may not agree with me, but yeah, God, I believe, my belief, that God planned that. Well, how in the world that? No, he said that's an accident. That's a man-made thing. I said, well, yeah, the automobile is made by man. The guy drinking, uh, the alcohol is made by man. The man, yeah, the man caused it. Technically, caused the accident because of his foolishness, right? His judgment was wrong. But I believe, in the grand scheme of things, at the end of the day, that was God's plan. That little girl, it was his time to take the girl back home, so to speak. Well, anyway, we got to a discussion about that, but I honestly believe that. And I want to make one other point too. Like my father, and I love him and respect him to pieces. So if you're listening, Dad, I hope you don't care. I'm sharing this story.
Oh yeah.
But
No
anyway,
doubt.
the whole thing is this. I also made an example of, okay, you take the automobile out of it. Okay, he's right. Automobile's man-made. If that automobile caused the wreck with the guy driving, okay, if you go back in time 300 years ago, before automobiles were even made. Now think about this story. Hang with me, guys. You go back 300 years ago, you got an Indian. He hunts for food. That's how that's how he eats. That's how he survives. He's a hunter. He hunts for food every day. He does it every day. It's routine, right? He does it every day. There's no automobiles. One day he goes out and hunts for his prey. He hits his deer. He's getting down. He's getting ready to go get his deer and take it back and process the deer there in the field. And the bear decides he wants the deer as well. And the Indian turns around. He can't really defend himself. Anyway, the bear attacks the Indian and he dies. There was no car involved. There was no anything like that. In other words, the bear is not man-made. The bear was made by God. The Indian died doing what he does every day. But that was the time. But what I'm trying to say is that was his time. It was his time to go.
Right.
And that was his destination and his predestination. He was destined to die at that age under that event. And I feel like that everything that we do is already set up and designed. And we may think that, okay, we're really controlling our lives, but are we really controlling our lives? Like I said, that's what this whole show's about. Are we really controlling our lives?
Yeah.
Or is it the ultimate creator controlling your life?
It's looking deeper, you guys. I think you got to look.
Yeah.
You gotta look deeper at your life because everybody does have the ability to do what they want to do. But if you look at it, if you get everybody's in a box. This is a saying that I have is, don't remain in a box. Step outside the box so you can see reality. So God is above everything. He's outside the box. He sees the reality. When you're inside the box, you can't see. The only reality you see is the spin cycle of life on Earth. So if you take your life and you open the box and you step out of it and look at it, predestination does look a whole lot different. You guys, it does, because you can say, okay, Sally is going to be doing. Just picture yourself as a deity, but say sit next to God and God go, okay, all right, Sally, what do you want to happen? Oh, I want him to do this, and that's everything he's going to do, but he doesn't know it yet. But I think it's simpler to look at.
That's a good way of putting it, Tony.
It is because you do have to step outside the box in order to see predestination. Because it is, is it biblical? Number one, because if it's biblical, then okay, I believe the Bible, and to be honest with you, yes, it is biblical. It is in Scripture. As a matter of fact, it goes back to Genesis and through Romans and real quick, and I won't go through all. We won't decipher the Scriptures, but I definitely want to give you guys. I want to give you guys these Bible verses, just to let you know that it is biblical. So we look at this one, Acts 4:28. For what do whatsoever thy hand and thy counsel determine before to be done. That is biblical. And let me tell you where where the predestination, what that actually is. So predestination actually occurs twice in the Bible. Predestination occurs twice. That word comes from the Greek. And of course, I'm not Greek. I'll give you my best English saying, enunciation of it. It's called parizo. And if you look that up, someone's going to say it a little bit different. But I got the parizo. The parizo is the best I can do with that in my Greek. And that actually means to exist, to be. Just to let you know a little bit where that comes from. We have a second verse here I got for you guys. Romans 8:29, for whom did he foreknow? Foreknows one. That's another parizo. He also did predestinate. So to be conformed in the image of his son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. So right there, it goes to tell you right there that is biblical. A lot of people don't want to believe it. They want to believe that they can just do what they want to do and God has no control over them. I don't know.
That's wrong.
I'm thinking that's going to be wrong. But it is definitely biblical. And let me give you one more for the biblical road here for you guys. This is what we got up here. 1 Corinthians. It's but we speak the wisdom of God in the mystery, even the hidden wisdom which God ordained before the world unto our glory. And that key word for you guys is ordained. That's another one of the words that being predestined. Predestined and predestinate. You know, there's many more scriptures in the Bible that I definitely couldn't go through. But what I'm going to do for you guys, if you definitely are a big Bible fan, which I am, I do study scripture, and one of these days, John and I are going to do a show on Bible prophecy, and we'll get down to the nitty gritty things of what's actually entailed in some of the prophecies of the Bible. But if you guys are big Bible fans, check this site out. This is Bible study tools. Definitely go to this site, because even this particular one is the Bible's definition of predestination. And it's going to give you scripture after scripture after scripture through Isaiah, through Genesis, through Romans, through I think maybe there's some Psalms in there, and we can't go through them all here because this is definitely not part of what we want to do as far as predestination goes. But we definitely want to let you guys know that if you don't believe, because someone's going to say, well, is it biblical? And I'm here to tell you it is. Just to let you know that, folks.
And people that don't believe in the Bible or religion or whatever, it might be something to open their eyes and look at too.
Oh yeah, by all means. I mean, definitely.
The non-believers can look at it.
Yeah, right.
And decide on their own.
They
decide on their own. Yeah,
they can decide.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you guys decide.
John and I believe. It's hard to grasp the actual. It's hard to grasp because when someone tells you, it's like drinking. It's like, because the first thing alcoholic AA teaches you or wants you to understand is you have no control over your life. That your life became unmanageable, and people go, well, wait a minute, I don't like that first step. I can manage my life. Well, maybe you can, but when you're plowed on the liquor and the whiskey and the wine, and you're falling down steps and you're busting out teeth and you're trashing cars, that's a pretty good manageable life, right? But nobody wants to be told that they don't have that control. Just like the word, predestination. When John talks about predestination, do you really have control? And someone says, yeah, I really got control. Well, no, you don't. The Creator has the control. I believe the Creator has the control. And I don't know if John believes this. Back in and I'm just going to quote a small lyric from an album called Jesus Christ Superstar. one of the songs in there, and I don't particularly know which song it was. I'd have to look it up. It's a good album. Check it out for sure. It's a definitely good album. The play's still around somewhere. They're still showing it. It was a matter of fact, it was here in Las Vegas a few years back. But one of the lines in one of the songs is everything in the world is fixed and you can't change it. Wow.
Amen to that.
That's pretty. That's some
Yeah.
strong. You talk about some strong stuff. I'm
Yeah.
liking it. So,
Well, and it's hard for people to understand. And I mean, I just figured this out. I mean, I'm going to tell my age a little bit. Next month I'll be 54. All right, there it goes. You guys know how old I am now.
yeah, no doubt, right.
Anyway, it's hard for people, and I just figured this out at my age. Is why I gave my age. When I was in my 30s, 20s, definitely didn't believe in this predestination stuff. I believed I had control of everything I did in my life, everything. Like I go back to the example of Tony and I, and I've been in many bands, he's been in many bands, and we've done our solo music, and we still do. But neither one of us have become rich on it, and we never become what quote unquote famous. And the thing is, you look at a career like example with us, we wanted to be rock stars back when we were teenagers in our early 20s. We wanted to be Metallica, we wanted to be Van Halen, all right? That's what we wanted to be, and we were good enough. And I'll tell you what, I'm not trying to brag on my host over here, but one of the best guitar players you ever hear, maybe someday.
I tried my
best. As a teaser. But anyway, yeah, he's one of the best. Anyway, my point being is we were good enough to be that. We really kicked butt, and we were a good band. But for some reason, like I said earlier, we did not make it. Okay, and we tried hard. I mean, we were like, we were going to make it. Like all these bands, we're going to make it, do or die. We're going to go and go and go. Well, we didn't make it. Well, and the reason why I really believe is because we never had control of it in the first place. And that goes for everything in your life. The people you meet, to everything, to the people you meet, to who you are inside, the decisions that you end up making through life, good, bad, or indifferent, is all predestined. All predestined. Now people say, well, I'm overweight, John, and I'm going to lose weight, and I lost weight, and I can do that. I control that. I lost weight. Well, sure, yeah, sure. But if you look back on it, you chose to lose weight. Well, somehow God had told you need to lose weight,
right?
Or else you wouldn't have lost weight. You would have kept being heavy. And I mean, that's just the way. So anyway, God's already told you to do that stuff, even though you may not realize that God is telling you to do that stuff. God is telling you to do that stuff because he's already got it figured out for you. And you're just riding the wave. You're taking the wave you're riding the wave where it takes you.
Right.
And that's just really, to be honest with you, that's the way it is. For another example I'll give is, okay, for instance, you got a person who lives to be 90 years old. All they did was drink and smoke cigarettes and never ate good and never exercised. But they lived to be 90. And you got the guy that's the jogger and is fit and eats all the right stuff and never smokes stuff and dies of a heart attack jogging at 28. Now, how does that happen? Now you scratch your head. That defies all logic.
How does that work?
The guy that lived to be 90 that's drank and smoked all his life and ate McDonald's every day lived to be 90. Now, come on. So you got to ask yourself those questions.
Yeah.
Well, because God had set the timeline for you. The individual that was the healthy one died at, say, 28 years old because that was when his clock ran out. Because God set it up for him. Okay, your time's up. Boom. The other one, he said, hey, you go ahead and eat all you want and stuff. I'm gonna keep you on the earth till 90 because I'm not ready for you till 90.
Yeah, exactly.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Think about that stuff, guys. Okay, why is it you could be the safest person in the world? This actually happened to me. I used to ride motorcycles and all this stuff, and everybody got on me. Oh, you need to get off that motorcycle. It's going to kill you. It's going to kill you. You're going to die on that motorcycle. You got to get rid of that thing, John. It's dangerous. All my family members worried about me riding a motorcycle, rode the motorcycle everywhere, never had a problem with it, right? Never had a problem. I was sleeping in my bed, in my house, the safest place you could be. Sleeping in my bed, in my house, right? I'm going to say it again. The safest place you could be. No danger. You're not on the road. You're not on a motorcycle. You're sleeping in your bed. I wake up the next morning. I got double vision. I had a minor stroke in my eye from sleeping. I didn't get in an accident on a motorcycle. Everybody thought I was going to. I was sleeping. Did I have control of that?
Yeah.
No. But did the thing mess me up for good? Not really. As I was blessed by God, I made out of it. But my whole point is this. If I worried and thought, okay, I'm going to go out on a motorcycle, I don't know what I'm going to go out on. I don't know how I'm going to leave this world. I don't know if it's going to be through, I just don't know. And I don't know when. Just like Tony doesn't know when, Joe Smith down the road doesn't know when, and Martha Stewart doesn't know when. Right. They're going to go. You're going to go when God calls you. When he takes you home, he takes you home. And you know what, folks? There's nothing you're going to do about it. And it's going to be on his time, not your time. And even people say, well, this guy went out there and he was depressed and he killed himself and he wrecked and he ran dangerously and he was running his cars dangerously or he lives a reckless life or she lives a reckless life and they do drug stuff. Yeah, you're going to kill yourself. I'm not arguing that. You're going to kill yourself when you're doing drugs and you're living reckless. Yeah, you're more likely going to up the ante on when you're going to die. But at the same point, you got to look at the flip side of that. Why does that person do that? Or why did that person do that? Why is it a shame that person committed suicide? It is. I'm not arguing that point.
Yeah.
Could it have been prevented? Maybe, but it wasn't prevented. Okay, you got a lot of people that are trying to commit suicide. It's prevented. They live. They live, and some people don't. So you ask why some people don't, and why some people do. It goes back to the root of it again, because it's pre-programmed, and that's just the way it is, folks. I mean, I don't think that we have a choice on, well, gosh, only if I would have been there, or if I could have done this. But the point that you wasn't there and you didn't do this and it still happened, don't beat yourself up about it, because you know what? In the end, that was all meant to happen.
Right.
Okay. And I'll let you take it for a while. I hope that people are thinking about that for a little bit. I mean, really think about that.
I think we got everybody out there thinking. I mean, you got me thinking. Because I'm thinking, yeah, that's kind of true. But I'm thinking, is it fair that, okay, 1912, everybody gets on this boat and it goes out in the ocean and it sinks. Wow. It just sinks and then you just lost all these lives. Is it fair for those people because there's actually people that actually said, well, I'm not getting on that thing. Because there's some controversy with the Titanic. Some people think that, I personally believe that the Titanic never sunk. It carried out its journey for 25 years later, and the Olympic is down at the bottom of the ocean. But anyway,
that's another show.
Is it fair that all they're doing is getting on this boat to come over to America and it sinks? Go figure.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at it like, is it fair that the surfer goes out and he's surfing a good surf and it falls off and gets chewed up by a shark? Is that
right?
Is that fair? I don't know. I think,
people will say those points are perfect, and people will say, like, for instance, my dad. I love my dad. Like I said, piece of respect him immensely.
Oh, of course.
Or other people that I know that have talked about it. Well, the Titanic's a man-made thing, and that captain messed up because he hit an iceberg, so that's why it went down. Well, they're missing the point. That's not what I'm talking about. I agree with all that. Yeah. Titanic. Yeah, I'm not arguing that. Titanic's a man-made vessel. The captain wasn't paying attention. Mistakes were made. They hit an iceberg and went down. Maybe faulty rivets, whatever. That's a whole different show. I'm not disputing that. I'm not disputing that at all. But I'm saying that event, the whole event, was already set up. It was going to happen. God knew that event was going to happen.
In advance, he did.
God knew that was going to happen. Yeah. And it was already set up by God. And he said, well, why would God take, and my daughter does this a lot. Well, why would God, take young kids and my grandmother had cancer and died, and these young people have cancer and they die, and that's awful. Why would God do that?
That's true.
Well, it's not for us to question God doing that, Nope. And some people say, well, it's Satan doing that. Well, that's a whole different thing. I really think that God controls it all. God controls Satan, really. He's ultimately going to control Satan's destiny. He's predestined.
He's
Satan's
right.
predestined. God's going to get rid of him one day.
All you gotta do is read the
So
Bible.
my point is that he's the God is the bigger person, for lack of words. He's not a person. God is the bigger entity,
Right.
and since He created us, he's got the privilege of being able to take his souls back, and when he wants, and he knows how long that. Okay, I'm gonna let Sally Smith live to be 20. I'm gonna cut her life short because I need her back here for whatever reason. I mean, one of these days when I die, hopefully I can ask God that. I'm planning on it.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, that's my whole personal thought about it. People might think, well, and there's people that do think I'm out there in left field and stuff. But if you really, like I said, we're on this show just for you guys to think about this stuff. It's to really think about it. And I mean, it took me a long time, and I finally the light bulb went off and said, wow, that's why I really don't worry about things. I don't worry about getting up in the morning and going to work and doing the routine things I do in life. I don't worry about going to sleep and waking up and what if I have a little mini stroke or whatever takes me out. I don't worry about that stuff anymore because I know that ultimately I do not have control of when my time is expired or what I'm going to do in this life as a career or whatnot. I may try a lot of things and they may fail, and they have. Some things have been succeeding. So ultimately the cards fell the way they may because of God, so to speak.
That's true.
I'll let
That's
you
true.
think.
Oh, I know that's true. That's, I don't, as far as predestination, if you look at it on the kind of on the outside, maybe just like looking at the, I don't know if you guys can see, just looking at the phone on the outside. If you look at it and you understand it, then you find yourself stepping back a little bit and not worrying about things, as John said. I stopped worrying about everything. The world means basically nothing. It's God's planet. It's God's game. It's His entire world. He does what He wants to with it. We're the pawns in the chess game. So I took that into account for my life, and then totally said, oh, I'm done worrying. I don't even have to worry anymore. Oh, that's good. See, because now I lead a completely, totally different life by not worrying about anything and letting God take over. Because your hands are in the Creator's. Your life, in other words, not your hands, but your life is in the hands of the Creator. So give that to Him and do what He wants you to do. If you're a big Bible believer like John and I are, get in there and watch your life start to change. Just on this show, watch your life start to change if you start to understand the predestination deal.
You'll be it. Yeah, you're exactly right, Tony. It's good points. And the thing is, though, is your life, you become whole. When you understand, you become whole, and you become, like I said, you don't have the stress of worrying about, like the tragedy out there in Las Vegas where you live, just back in the fall, when people got shot. Do you think those people are going to a country rock show and thinking they're going to get shot that night? Oh, heck no. No way. But, and it was awful, and I would say that was Satan,
It's
I would
hard
bet big money that was Satan controlled that.
But was
or Satan instigated it, right?
Could have been.
Well, here's the thing. But ultimately, those people that got seriously wounded and gone, they're believers. They went to heaven. I believe God took them home. But my point is, whether you believe or not, my point is those people had no idea that was going to happen when they went out there. No one would have known that. And they didn't have any control of that. Period. They did not have control of that.
Zip, done.
They didn't have any control of that. So that's a predestined thing. Like you don't have any control when you go out in your automobile, whatever. But at the same point, on the flip side of that, if you don't, you can't worry about things like that. True. Because if you understand and realize that, okay, my life is set up where I'm going to go already. I don't really have control of it. It's already set up. So I'm letting God take the wheel.
He's
driving the car. He's driving the car. So I can't worry about, oh, I'm going to hop a plane and go out there and visit Tony. Well, I'm worried about that because what if the plane goes down? Well, what if the plane does go down? There's nothing I could have done about it. Right?
I know.
I mean, you could have said, well, yeah, John should have jumped on that plane. He should have went out there and visited Tony and jumped on that plane and the plane went down, you know?
Right.
Well, no. Well, that wouldn't have happened. God love my dad again. That wouldn't have happened. You know, that wasn't God because that's a man-made plane. That's man that did that because that plane, well, like I said earlier, right. I'm not arguing the fact that the plane is man-made. The plane is man-made.
Right.
But the fact that the plane wrecked, I mean, look how many times we have planes go in the air and they never crash. They never have failure.
That's true.
But you do have failure once in a while. Like I said, it's the hands. It's the car. It's the hands. It's the cards handed out to you by God. Okay, you were on that plane. That plane unfortunately went down. It was your time. Simple as that. And God controls that. My whole, like I said, my bottom line of this whole thing is that God controls all. Controls your life, where your life's going. You know, and if you just listen to him, he'll guide you in the right way. I know we're kind of sound like we're in church today, which is okay.
Right.
But I mean, but really this predestination thing is that. And once you feel comfortable with that, feel comfortable with the fact that I'm just going to live my life happy and everything as long because I'm on God's time. Basically, I'm on God's time. So I'm going to just live it and have fun with it and not worry about it. Well, I'm here on borrowed time.
Right.
And that's what I got, Tony. That's it. I mean,
I'm with you. I'm with you. Certainly don't agree with any of that. You know, I'm up there. I think people should just, you know, take that predestination and then, you know, like I said, you guys got to get out of the box. You have to get out of this box. You know, I don't stress. I'm living proof because I got out of the box. I'm out of the box looking above everybody. I got a better view up here than I do crammed inside this worldly box and watching. It's like the world on it's a spin cycle of a washing machine, and you're trying to get out of this. It's constant. You can't get out of that. Yeah. You know, but you can with God's help. You know, say I'm taking myself out of this box, and I'm gonna let predestination maybe take over, and not worry about any of that stuff in there, and just do what, you know, like John said, this is not about Bible class, and I agree, but do what God wants you to do. I can't stress that highly. You'll find your way.
And you're right. Not only what God wants you to do, God's already got a plan for you.
He's already got it planned. Exactly.
I mean, you know, and you're saying, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's perfectly fine. Matter of fact, it's good to say, okay, you know, God spoke to me, and God, you know, God's told me to. Now, good things. You get some whack jobs out there and say,
that's
God
true.
told me to shoot these people up. Well, no, that's not God, folks. You know, news break. That's not God telling you to hurt people. God is all about helping your fellow man and helping yourself, and it's predestined as far as like we said. You know, if you're addicted to, if you're substance abused or you had some bad habits or whatever, if you know deep down inside those are bad,
right? And
you can to a choice change that, so to speak. Say, okay, I know these are bad, so I'm going to change it. Well, that's still God's control. You changing that.
That's true.
But you know, that's weird though. But you get, like I said, this is deep. But if you get to where a guy is always out there doing drugs, killing people, whatever, he keeps going to prison back and forth, and he never learns it. He knows better. Deep down inside, he knows better. But he keeps doing it. And he keeps doing it. You know, that's his predestination for him to keep doing it. So maybe he's meant to go through all those things for whatever reason. God knows.
That's true.
Literally, God knows. He's got to go through all that prison time or whatever, like Charles Manson, for instance, when he did his life. He said his butt there, you know, that poor soul was lost from the time he was a kid.
That's another.
To the time he died, he was lost. Poor soul was lost.
That's another complete show on even the Manson
murders. But God, when Manson went, he went, and and God said, okay,
he's gone.
And we can't judge whether he goes to heaven or hell, even if you guys believe that or don't believe that. We
Right.
can't judge any of that. And that's not really what the show's about. But really, it is about, I really do believe that we have okay, say you don't even believe in God or any of that at all. Say you're a computer guy and you live in the modern world and you're a worldly person. Okay, I'll go there for a minute. Suppose that there's a big, giant computer, people, that
Right.
actually runs all this. That we're underneath this big glass case, and there's a big computer that runs everything, and you're just living your life and you think that everything's going the way you making it go, but really it's a big computer running you. There you go. Okay, we'll take God out of the equation for a minute and just say it's a big computer running your life. Think about that one. In my case, the big computer is God. But if you don't believe, think about it as a big computer program with probably 2 million gigs or more, billions of gigs.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to run the universe, you need billions of gigs, right, Tony?
That's true. That's true. But anyway, let's see if we can just try to wrap it up on a, because when you look at predestination, it's almost like, it's like you just crashing people's worlds, but you're really not though. But is it fair? Is predestination, is it fair? Because you see people go through life and they struggle, suicide. Is it fair? Because there could have been help, but if God goes, no, he's predestined to fail, suicide.
Yeah.
Well, you just self-murdered yourself. Thou shalt not commit murder. You just
that's
self-murdered yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's fair or if it's not fair. I don't know. I certainly believe that, we're predestined. Definitely are predestined, because if I didn't make certain choices in my life, I would not be sitting here in front of this camera talking to my good friend John, and we got the John and Tony show. Go figure.
Right.
Who would ever thought? Who would ever thought we had that?
Exactly. And the thing is, though, like you said, that's kind of a gray area, and that's where I got in a kind of heated discussion with one of my best family member, one of my best family members. That's kind of a gray area. Like you said, the guy is, struggling. He ends up ultimately killing himself through drugs or suicide or whatever, reckless driving, whatever it may be. And they said, man, was that really God really intended for that? Because, really, did God really intend for that? And I had to really think hard on that, for a while. But I got to believe that it's still in God's, I still got to believe that God controls all, and he controlled that. And I think that, because you got to think of how strong God is. If there was going to be an intervention with that particular person that didn't make it, unfortunately, there would have been. In your case, God looked at you and said, okay, we got a problem, we're fixing it, and you're going on for a while, because that was God's call. You may say, well, it was my call because I chose to do that. Well, there was a reason why you chose to do that. There was a voice, an inner voice, an event, whatever. Something happened to make you go where you went. Something happened to the guy that didn't make it to make him go where he went. And like I said, that's a gray area, and I had a lot of people argue with me about that.
Well, that's,
and of course, obviously believe what you guys want to believe. I'm not trying to convince you either way. I'm just sharing my humble opinion.
right.
But I really think that deep down inside, no matter how hard it is to grasp that, I ultimately believe, again, at the end of the day, God controls all. And you could say, well, it's a shame that person had cancer and fought hard to beat it and didn't beat it. That's not fair. But see, God has a bigger purpose for that person than we do here. And then you say some people beat the cancer and made it. And that's great. But then God decided, but it was God's decision. Okay. I need that person to be on the earth a little bit longer. So it's really not our call, I believe.
Right.
And that's why, but at the same time, like I said earlier, I'm at ease with knowing that.
Oh, of course.
I'm at ease at knowing that, because I know that I'm not going to worry about it if I crash in a plane or a car or get cancer or any of this stuff.
That's because you can't control
Because
it.
Exactly. You got it, Tony.
You can't control that, so it is tough. I mean, I know you guys thinking out there, you're going, these guys are like nuts, or maybe you guys are thinking, You guys got
That's
you guys
interesting.
got a point, but if you take it one last thing, I'll end it with the Bible, with predestination. You know, predestination's in the Bible, so you're predestined to salvation. There are people that are predestined to salvation. There are other people that are predestined to hell. And one thing that everybody on this planet has to understand is everybody fell short of the glory of God. God's going, you all messed up. Punishment, the penalty is death. So that's it. Nobody's safe. No one's going anywhere. God's going. The world's over. God's going, man, it's lonely up here. Nobody got it. Nobody got it.
Which
I like that.
A lot
I
of
hope
people
that.
that are going to get it though.
Yeah, I hope you guys. I hope you guys get it. I hope.
Well, I'd
everybody.
like to add one last thing before we close the show, Tony. One last quick thing.
Yeah.
You know, you talk about that. You talk about, okay, like I read on the internet just yesterday, the doomsday thing.
Oh man, the doomsday.
The doomsday. It's going to happen at midnight. Blah 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 blah. And you know, doomsday's coming quick because you know the nuclear stuff and Trump and them guys. You know, they're not helping the environment. They're not trying to deter a nuclear holocaust.
Right.
You know what? I laughed at that when I read that yesterday, folks. And the reason why I laughed at that is because, you know what? If Kim Jong-un or anybody else decides they're going to launch a nuke and we have a nuke, you know what? All I got to say is be ready.
Be ready.
Because there's nothing that we're going to do about it. We're going to perish. And you know what? If you believe and you know that it's predestined, you're going to go to the right place.
You're going to the right
But in other words, too, you can't also, even if you don't believe in the religious aspect of it, you can't worry about it, folks.
No.
You can't worry about it. You read that stuff and people freak out. Oh my God, we're gonna, you can't freak out about it.
I know.
People, things are going to happen. We could be hit by a huge meteor at any time. Anything can happen. Yellowstone can go up. Anyway, I'm going to end it there. I'm going to end it there. We have no control of that, folks.
No, we
Our
don't.
destination is written for us, and that's my belief, and that's it on the predestination.
Oh man, that's some good. That's some good stuff, guys. Whether you believe it or you don't, John and I have our point of view, and we're just expressing it to you guys. Anyway, we're about out of time. We want you to enjoy the rest of your week, and please join us next Monday. We're going to be talking about the paranormal. That's going to be an interesting, and we hope to see you there.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah, for John Allen, I'm Tony Scott, and we'll see you next Monday.